NAAMSA's SA Auto Week is the largest trade show of its kind in South Africa. This year, Cars.co.za was the official media partner of the event, and we set up this rather stylish podcast studio. Our very own Chiro de Siena and guest journalist from CNBC Africa, Fifi Peters, played hosts and over 3 days interviewed all the key figures in South Africa's motoring industry.
GWM has had a presence in South Africa for over 17 years, with Haval having joined the fray in 2018. Desmond Els, who's a sales director over at GWM South Africa, joins us at Auto Week on the Cars.co.za podcast. Des, welcome.
Thanks very much for the opportunity.
So let's talk about the fact that you are representing one of the most established Chinese brands in the country. There are a whole lot more nowadays when you look on the roads. But how does your company set itself apart right now from the new entrants?
Oh, it's a very good question. Thanks for that. There are a lot of things that plays a factor here. I think where it comes from setting ourselves apart from all the new entrants coming into call it the new way forward. It's a stage, very emerging market currently. It's in the stage where we've been established. I won't say 17 years is a good reference point, but I think talking about the 2018 that you referred to, it's the time where it was still known as Haval Motor South Africa at that stage, just to clarify. That's the time when it was still before the time it was a distributor. And then it became a full-on subsidiary out of China. And I think that's where the big differentiator started in 2018. Because the majority of the time, the guys are distributors and they're not represented by China or the Chinese quartered mothership, HQ. Where now you're finding it since 2018, it's a direct link and management style out of China where the investments comes into the South African market. So it's dedicated to the South African market and transforming the brand. Not only just transforming it, but first setting it up at the right standards. So we pride ourselves. I've joined the company just over a year ago. It's my anniversary as well this month.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks very much. It's also in that way that part and parcel of strategies that I'll touch on later is to ensure the public that the brand is here to stay. The brand is not just coming into the country and establishing certain products and trying to sell it into the retail space, building market share. No, it's where we would like to start off with is that customer journey. So the customer journey basically starts off where you got to get your dealer network involved. So yes, we've got a dealer network. It's fairly young as well as old. So we got these networks that's been there for 17 years. You've got networks that's only been there for 5 years. You've got there's guys that's only been there for a year. But it's all about aspiration. So we're setting ourselves up now currently to get the standards in our networks up in order for our customers to experience the right cup standard, what the brand stands for. Then it's product. Product comes then in order for us then to build the brand on top of our dealer standards. As soon as we've got that in place, the brand will basically find itself where we'll give reassurance in that comfort to the customer that they're on the longevity, on the planning for the brand going forward, as well as new product that's coming into it. Expansion plans within the network is limited at this stage because we're more now focusing and getting, as I said before, our standards right and making sure that we look after our customers first.
It is part of your strategy that you're pursuing right now to ensure that you stick around. Does it include any form of local manufacturing in South Africa?
All right, that's a tricky question because I might let something out that we're busy. It's definitely something on the cards because if you look at Auto Week this week, there was 3 major topics discussed in this Auto Week in the last 2 days. First and foremostly, everything was going on about industry growth, which was relating to NEV, new energy vehicles. The second thing that came up is where we're going to find the industry growth from is local production and expanding the industry on that phase. So it's very positive to note that it is a plan, I think, for any of us to invest into the country. At this stage, it's still very infant. We're in thinking stage. I won't say even planning stage at this moment. So it's definitely a consideration for us as a brand. in order for us to invest, as well as give the reassurance to the South African market that, once again, going back to the differentiator, yes, to create the difference between us and the other OEMs as well as Chinese imports.
And perhaps even to strengthen the supply chain. I mean, we did hear a little bit earlier in the President's address of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, just making reference to some of the global tensions in the recent while that had disrupted the supply chain for manufacturers, and particularly those that imported a lot of their stuff. I don't know if you've got a view on that.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. It's true. Even in my past, out of my experience from a supply chain, it's always been under pressure. Job creation doesn't only start, or the expansion of the industry doesn't start in production. It starts with the supply chain of it. It starts with the parts and panel and etc. that needs to be produced, and also from a local manufacturing point of view. So imports, bringing it in is risky, and it's a challenge. And it's basically our duty within the industry to see how we can expand and call it expand it in that way. If you look at the GWM brand internationally, if you go to China, you will basically find that there's over 40 call it subsidiaries within the brand that's part of the supply chain within. So they source within us as a OEM in China, which is the largest independent privately owned manufacturer in China for the motor industry. So that meaning is that we've got over 40 of those are our own supply chain that you'll have to be proud of in order to create the brand, and that's also helping you or assisting the brand in expanding the scenario where you can do certain cost savings and bring vehicle to market at the right value proposition.
All right. Going back to the other theme that you did highlight as being discussed or being one of the major talking points at the conference this week, electrification. And just looking at your broader portfolio in South Africa, which includes electrified powertrains in the form of hybrids and EVs. Are there any plans for your new energy vehicles to be extended to plug-ins as well?
Okay. Once again, yes. There will always be the plan. The plan is already internationally formed.
Okay.
When it comes to the South African market, it's all about cost. It's a price-sensitive cost introduction that you need to be very considerate about. So taking one step back, what we pride ourselves on as GWM is that within our model lineup, we basically, and it's a bit of, call it, we're very proud of it and confident, I'll rather use the word confident, that in all our model lineups, we do have a new energy vehicle option. We do have it either full electric or in hybrid. And what we say about hybrid is an hybrid electric vehicle. It's not just a traditional hybrid. It runs parallel in the sense that it's got an electric as well as an ICE motor. So even starting from the low or call it the entry-level Jolion, which falls under the Haval brand, H6, got a hybrid electric. Then you step into the likes of P-Series, we've just introduced the new P500. The P500 comes with a hybrid electric vehicle. And then going into the Tank brand, we both have Tank 300 as well as Tank 500 in HEV. And that takes us right to the top where we've got the full electric vehicle in Aura. So yes, we're the only proudly OEM in South Africa that's got an hybrid electric vehicle represented in all our models.
All right. Sure, you've taken us through quite a suite of your product offerings, and perhaps let's actually reverse a bit and break it down. Break it down just one by one, going back to the P-Series. And what can be expected in terms of any facelifts arriving to South African markets?
I'm going to give you the secret now. So
we'll keep it between you and I.
Everything is off the record. Let's keep on recording. Okay, so basically, P as it stands today, the P-Series is on run-out phase. We're busy running out the current model, what was introduced in the South African market, I think in the 2022, around about 20, I think end of 21, start of 22, the car was introduced in South African markets. It's time for the vehicle to have its, call it, official facelift or development's been done.
Okay.
So I'll let it out. It's in media. It's not a secret. The P300 is on its way. The P300 will be reaching the South African shores in the first quarter of next year, 2025. It will be an official launch. That car will be basically as well as commercial as the passenger spec. Commercial, I'll give you slight more information. Commercial will be the traditional 2-liter diesel, where your passenger spec will be the high end, will be as well a 2-liter diesel as well as a 2.4 diesel will come through. Completely redesigned vehicle from, call it, features as well as comfort. I've had the privilege earlier this year in April, May, we went into the Chinese, or when we went to China for the Beijing Auto Show. We took delegates as well as VIP customers, dealers with us to experience the new model ranges that can be experienced in the South African market for the next year. So, and that P300 was part and parcel of the offerings that we showed. One thing I can comment and commend GWM on is that when they plan to bring a product to market, they bring it to market. They don't wait, they don't delay, and they do a lot of research. It's just not a scenario, and please excuse the pun or the word, it's not a case of just dumping a car into the South African market and hope for the best. No, it's not that. A lot of research goes into it, R&D goes into it for the South African market specifically. We also benchmark ourselves into the Australian market. So actually, everything that happens in the Australian market will basically then be adopted, if I can use that, into the South African market. So if Australia's car has been developed for that, call it conditions, we will see the car being developed in the same principle for us. So that makes the fact that the car comes to market quicker and at the right specification, standards, quality, so much better for us, because it's not that South Africa is standing on its own. We've got 3 or 4 other countries that we benchmark with in order to bring the car to market. So yes, there was a good example. It's the P500 that just been launched.
Sure.
That car was introduced, showed to the dealers, or call it showed to media as well, just call it 9 months ago, and the car's in market, and we launched the car in August this year. So that's clearly showing that if we do show and tell, we definitely bring it to give it to the customer.
Okay, I mean, there's a lot of South Africans in Australia.
Oh yeah, for sure, and they're definitely enjoying the vehicle as well, and it's finding and it's growing its consideration as well in the Aussie market.
You mentioned the tank as well, a 300, I believe. Again, in terms of what South Africans can expect, what's on the cards for the motorist here?
Okay, so as I said, there's expansion plans, very solid. And what happens with the Tank 300 at this moment in time, we introduced the Tank 300 in the entry coded with the ICE derivatives as well as the HEV derivative. Knowing that the South African market is very diesel orientated, I'll give you a sneak on that. So the diesel is on its way. So diesel is planned also for Q1 of 2025. So very positive for us from a branding point of view, as well as we pride ourselves. We've got 2 sayings that sales excellence is driven by brand expansion. So brand expansion currently happening in the way they're bringing the right car to market, as I've mentioned before, and finding the right car for the right customer, and knowing that the South African market is very pro-diesel, we know we need to get to the market as quickly as possible.
Okay, not to bore you with the questions around your brand offerings and what can be expected in the South African market, but I have to ask another one as well. Just given the fact that you did mention it already, you mentioned the Jolian, you mentioned the H6. Having been quite a hit in the car market, I am told. But in terms of next steps for the Haval specifically, the passenger car range, is there perhaps the new H9 on the cards?
Okay, let me just quickly check my notes. Right.
Without making you divulge too much.
I'm going to actually answer your question differently. I'm going to give something more before I get to that answer. So H6 as it stands today is going to be, there's a facelift in H6 coming. So H6 has been the market leader, segment leader for, call it, the last 18 months. So there's definitely plans on H6 within the first half, call it second quarter of next year. Then there's a bit of a surprise package come to the South African market. That's the build-up of the H9. So I've got to build it up and getting to the right answer for you. We're bringing the H7.
Okay.
The H7 is on its way. That will be introduced in Q1 as well. So there's a lot of activity. I've just mentioned P300, diesel tank, and H7 in Q1. So a lot of cars, commitment to the consumer, as well as to our dealer network. Getting to H9.
Sure.
H9 is there.
So I hear you, and so for me, what all the new offerings that you are bringing into the market, particularly next year, translates to is a strong degree of confidence, not only in your product offering and perhaps in how it will appeal to the consumer, but also in the economy and the sector at large, which leads me to get your views on the outlook for the sector. Does the fact that you've timed your new product offerings for next year mean that you are of the camp that do believe that the car industry, the automotive industry, is on the cusp of recovery and you've got a smooth road ahead from 2025 and onwards?
No, I don't think it's smooth road. Getting to that last sentence, I think it's going to still be a challenge.
Sure.
It's just my opinion, and I'm going to raise my opinion. I see at this whole Auto Week, the presentation that's on screen is that the market is behind 5.6% year on year. Realistically speaking, I think the market is 15% behind and not 5.6% behind. It's looking at all the schematics and everything that happens within the industry. Consumers seriously under pressure. So believing that everything that we want to put in place as an industry, there's a lot of work to be done. We're going to see that bubble of vehicles coming in between the 450 and 650 vehicle mark out of the emerging brands. It's going to be very active for the next 2 years, for sure, definitely. Us, where we position ourselves, yes. The market, I believe, will start only recovering after 2025. I don't think 25, there's a lot of things that needs to happen from a macroeconomic point of view in order for the market to get to that point. So if we look at our business plan for 2025, we're positive, but we're also in some way conservative in the way that we're planning the right cars in the right segments in order to secure our market share, because it's all about market share, we know the industry, and also about adding to the growth within this industry as well. So yes, I would like to say that one thing, I was questioned before on this, the scenario when we bring in cars to the market in the various phases, and we've also been, I'd say, the first Chinese OEM that's brought a car to market over 1 million. So we launched P500 HEV just under 1 million, and we launched Tank 500 at a 1.2 mark. People would say, is that slightly arrogant in bringing something like that to market? And I would say no. We've got confidence. We've got confidence in our product. We know what we're planning towards. And I would like to get back to your question on H9. There's a reason why I don't want to divulge, but the car's definitely planned. It's coming, but there's one reason for it. We need to find the right powertrain as a solution to this vehicle. The vehicle has already been developed for our market, but it's one thing that we need to tick certain boxes in order for powertrain, transmission, to make sure that we do launch the right car into this market.
Closing, as we wrap up this conversation about cars, what you driving right now?
Tank 300.
Is that your favorite?
It's the most comfortable drive and in a long, long time. It's a car that ticks all the boxes. I'm a cyclist, sports fanatic, lifestyle-orientated person. Tank 300 just is one of those. It's easy, it drives well, off-road, on-road. It's an awesome car.
And in terms of the legacy that has been or is being celebrated at Auto Week, I mean, we even heard from the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, just speaking about the significance of the industry in the broader scheme of South Africa as an employer, as a contributor to the economy. What does the legacy of 100 years of South Africa's automotive industry mean to you personally?
Personally, I think it's basically coming out of the industry. I've been in the industry for 25 years. It's part and parcel of what South Africans stand for. South Africans dream, eat and sleep cars, vehicles. So this is really, really a foundational element for us and need to be proud of, because if you find yourself in a position where you've managed to secure 100 years within the automotive in specifically the South African market, you definitely know there's a lot of potential to grow it and to take it to that next level, and making the world understand that, as President Cyril Ramaphosa was saying, that there was South Africans that went to Germany to sell them what product and quality is all about. So That's a proud moment, and I think we must live on that. An
ironic one as well. But Des, we'll leave it there for now, and I imagine that we will converse again in due course. As you said, GWM is not going anywhere.
No, we're definitely not moving. Thanks very much for that time, Vivi.
Think of a car, any car. Yes, Cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you.